Give us 30 minutes each week to discover the trends that are shaping the future of retirement with That Annuity Show. We bring you conversations with industry leaders who are revolutionizing financial products, technology, and distribution channels. Now, here's your host, Paul Tyler.
Well, hi, this is Paul Tyler, and welcome to another episode of That Annuity Show. Bruno, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Good. I just came back from the Limmer Annual Conference and managed to record a few episodes on the floor. So, real interesting event. I think Limmer does a really good job with their annual conference, and saw a lot of our friends there.
Nope, I saw.
wish you'd been there with us. I think saw a lot of really interesting technology that'll make its way to I think the annuity and life insurance space. And speaking of which, we have somebody who's really has been on the cutting edge of bringing technology over the last 7 or 8 years at least to the insurance space. Qiyun Chai. Qiyun, welcome.
Thank you, Paul, and nice to meet you, Bruno. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, and Qiyun, you are the founder and CEO of Finteri. I pronounced the company correctly, right? I think.
Yes, Finteri. That's what we get when we talk to customers.
Yeah. Well, we definitely want to explore your backstory, but before we kind of go into that, tell us the problem you're trying to solve and what the company does today.
Yeah, definitely. So my background is I come from the insurance industry. I actually started a agency in the life insurance space after spending about a decade in technology in Silicon Valley. So early on in my career, I was a venture capitalist. It's very different than most folks that you meet in insurance. And after investing and building technology companies, my last job before I became an entrepreneur about 7 years ago was at a machine learning company. It was way before the Gen AI craze, and we were building a B2B software using some of the latest techniques in machine learning. And I started my last business that was Amplify Life Insurance, and it was a digital agency in the life insurance space. And that was I stumbled into insurance through starting that company. And as we grew the business, I was responsible for everything in the finance operations side. Every month, we had to pay our agents because we're building and growing our agent team. Folks wanted to get paid faster, and our agents, they had different ways of how they want to get incentivized, and people wanted different compensation plans. And at the time, we just didn't have a good way of really implementing and designing a more robust compensation system. And then also every month we would get these commission statements from different insurance carriers that we were working with, and we were selling different types of products. Every month there's a dozen carriers, and we get all of these statements, and it was just a black box to us how much revenue the business was actually making, and if we were collecting all of the revenue that was due to the policies that we were doing. So fast forward, I just saw this, it was one of my biggest frustrations from my experience running the business. So I started Finteri with that problem in mind, and I wanted to build a holistic revenue growth platform focusing on commission and focusing on compensation for the insurance industry to solve that problem that I had seen when I was running the business.
Well, it's not the first time we hear COOs coming, and we've had many on our show. It is absolutely the center of every insurance company's operation. So we're actually glad there's people like you who get frustrated by these things and try to make them better. So that's really good. So out of curiosity, obviously this is one angle of the problem. What made you attack that particular issue in the first place?
Oh, you're opening the door to problems that a lot of people haven't seen before. Qiyun, yeah.
If you talk to folks who are in the distribution space and a lot of people in the carrier space, people will tell you that this is a big problem, but there's just so many layers to this problem. And the way that we're solving it is by attacking the underlying data problem first. And through connectivity and through connecting with carrier data, and you can think of the top carriers in the annuity and the life insurance space, by connecting with their data, we're able to use some of the latest technologies to standardize all of the data that distribution is receiving from carriers. And so that's the first layer that we're tackling. And then the secondly is about flexible compensation design and implementation. And we hear this again and again from carriers and distribution, and really any businesses that cares about growth, that cares about recruiting agents, retaining their agents, and any people power businesses, that have tens, hundreds. We have customers that have tens of thousands of agents that they're managing. Is that compensation and be able to have a system that can allow the owners and allow the business leaders and the VP of sales to implement flexible incentive programs, whether it's a compensation plan that's based on grid or tiered bonus programs, and having all of that design and all of the data in one place, that is critical for these businesses to be run as quickly, as fast as they would like to. And we have customers on our platform that have been able to grow their revenue by at least 10% on a monthly basis since they've started working with us. And that type of growth, you see that in technology. You don't see it very much in insurance, but we do see it with select groups within insurance. And we see a lot of tech-minded, forward-thinking, and younger business owners being able to achieve that type of growth.
Okay, so 10% is a great number. We want to come back to this. Bruno, did you know, like, one of the odd jobs I had was, I don't know if you know this, for 2 years at MetLife was running the commissions for all the agents. Did you know that, Bruno?
I did not know that.
Yeah. This is like, a big, we used to have these talent review processes, and it was like, hey, Bruno, you're talented. You know what? Let's see how talented you are. Let's put you in charge of, like, the cafeteria. So,
oh, that's an upgrade from Lost and Found.
yeah. So mine was like, Paul, congratulations. Like, what? Commissions? It was actually it turned out to be a really interesting job, Qiyun, because we had at that point, like, I think Matt had, now it's obviously changed a lot. I think we had at that point maybe 12,000 agents that we were, of different business systems. We had the career system, we had a general agency system, we had the broker dealer. So you think about it, Qiyun, you mentioned this a little bit. One is people kind of tend to do throughout the course of history what they're paid for, and Bruno, as an actuary, you appreciate, like, how do you actually design a system that generates the behavior you want? I want to sell this I want Paul to sell life insurance, but also an annuity. Or if he's just selling annuities, I want to sell him a little bit of life insurance. So maybe it's not the right thing to do, Qiyun, but I've tried to game or create a system that leads to the behavior. Then how do you administer this stuff? Like, just to give you a sense, like, Met, Qiyun, I don't know how much you've looked at some of these systems. I came in, this was 2000, I think this was 2008, 2009 when I was there. And, MetLife used to have, like, all these little offices all over the country. Like, you'd be like in office L2701. I think in 1930, MetLife was like the biggest employer in the U.S. Imagine that, Bruno. Can you imagine 30,000? It was like huh? And so, but they had this commission system that only went down like 3 levels. So, it's like this computer system had been designed for 3 levels, and now, we started to reorg these offices and say, okay, now we're going to go down 5 or 6. It broke the system, to pay these levels. So, talk to me about some of the challenges that are coming up. Now we've got a lot of companies rolling up IMOs, rolling up distributors. You've got an enormous number of contracts, with any given IMO, with any given carrier. What does the universe look like right now?
Yeah. That's That's a good point. It's surprising. I didn't know, Paul, that you spent time in commissions at
Oh
with a
yes.
large carrier. That's why I could tell that you're so passionate about this topic based on your
Yes.
personal experience. Yeah. So the problem it's if you think about the insurance ecosystem, it's a huge industry, and you have different players in the ecosystem. You have the carriers, and the carriers are the ones, in a lot of cases they're the ones who are administering compensation. However, a lot of times the incentives and bonus programs, they really come down to the IMO, the BGA, as well as individual GA and the agency level. So you basically have this multi-layer, multi-level distribution system across insurance. And we see this. We are a multi-line platform. So it's not just the majority of our customers, they're in the annuity, life, health insurance space, but we do have customers on the PNC side as well. And we see this across the board. Is that this type of multi-layer distribution. And in addition, you also have other players. You have administrators that work with carriers that might administer commission, and you have broker dealers, which is Paul what you talked about. And we see that on the distribution side. So if we were to kind of really break down this problem on the carrier side, we see that even some of the largest carriers, and we have carriers that have been around for 100, 150 years, they are on the legacy system, and their system is only able to handle one level of commission. So we have that, and with carriers who do have more robust multi-level compensation systems when it comes to things like being able to explain the report that a GA or BGA or IMO gets, being able to explain the tier bonus structure, being able to notify when a distributor is about to hit a production tier, and that would significantly impact their compensation. This type of reporting is quite lacking across the board. Now, on the distribution side, it's actually an even more complex problem because we have distributors on our platform that they're not only just administering essentially a multi-level commission system to their agents. They're collecting money, or they're paying out money to broker dealers. They're getting bonuses from carriers. They're getting bonuses from their IMOs. And on every policy, you could have three parties that you're receiving revenue from, and on the payout side you could have 5 or 10 people that are servicing the policy, that are marketing the policy, that are essentially responsible for this client, for this policy, and therefore there is compensation that is related to that policy. And it's a much more complicated system that distribution would need to be able to run their business effectively.
So say I'm like I was an agent. I turned it, built an agency. I recruited. I got some couple of good direct contracts or semi-direct contracts with some carriers that are important in business. I recruited Bruno. I recruited Tisa um, and Ramsey. We start to build a business. What's my life like? Am I? How many people do I have to staff typically to manage? What I presume are a lot of spreadsheets coming back from carriers.
It's running an insurance business. It's busy, and we have when I started in Terry, start onboarding customers. I will have agency owners that run large book of business, that are doing a lot of client facing work. They're talking to advisors, they're traveling for conferences, they're building out the team, and they're spending they have to sit down for a day every week just to do commission. And if you think about it, these people's time is worth a lot because their superpower is in sales, is in building their businesses, and a lot of times they're coming to us because they would want a system that they could design, that they could control, that is going to implement what they want for their agents and for their business.
So where did you see when you started this? Where did you see the biggest low hanging fruit was? What was the obvious issue or place where you can tackle an issue that was so obvious, or maybe not so obvious, but pretty obvious, that you can solve for and just create efficiency in the ecosystem?
The entry point for 100% of our customers, we have a platform that has multiple modules on the platform. Now, the module or the entry point for all of our customers is the data processing engine. So, this is where we're helping our customers extract, automate all of the data extraction, standardization, and classification for the revenue data that they're receiving. And for a typical brokerage, they're getting hundreds or tens of these statements in PDF, Excel. We also help distributors with carrier data feeds as well. And that's in itself is a big undertaking for a lot of businesses just to be able to manage all of that data and make sure that they have a robust system that can help them store, clean up, and effectively use that data.
So you gave Bruno and me time back, which is great. Tell us how you increase our revenue on our agency by 10%.
We've done case studies with our customers where by being able to design and implement a more flexible compensation system, because before Finteri, we will hear from our customers that the way that how they would be able to pay out to their agents and design compensation is very rigid. They're working with just one system, one structure, and if they want to change it, it's very costly and it takes a long time. So a lot of business owners just say, forget about it. I'm just gonna go with whatever structure that carrier is implementing, and that's just it. And by having a more robust system, one is that in terms of designing and implementing compensation, which as you know, for any type of business is critical as you grow. That's how they're able to, one is gain visibility and being able to better control the margin of their business. Then secondly is by being able to provide better agent reporting. So we have on our platform, we have customers that invite their agents to our portal where their agents can see the rates for the products they sell. They can check their production leaderboards. They can check not just for themselves, as well as for the teams that they're building, how everybody's doing. So that type of performance metrics, the agent reporting, be able to gain better insights into the compensation commission data that their agents are getting, that's a huge selling point for them as they're growing the business. And then lastly is for the business owner, the CEOs, the CFOs themselves. A lot of these businesses, they lack granular level visibility into the net profit margin on a policy level. They want to do analysis on a monthly basis to be able to see the net profit by different product lines that they're selling, the different agent groups, and different carriers that they're doing business with. And because ultimately, these folks who are running these businesses, they are the resource allocators. So they have to make decisions on where they want to grow the business, how they want to recruit, and this type of data insights and predictive analytics is also how our customers are gaining value.
Really, really interesting. I mean, what are the most interesting, compensation designs you've seen that Finteri's been able to bring to life?
The most interesting compensation design, we've seen pretty much by this point everything in the industry. So, there's nothing that's for us that's completely new. For our customers, for businesses that, for example, if it's a newer insurance agency, some of the things that are more creative. One is that the more tier bonus program, and that's something that is widely implemented in the industry. We do see it. However, it is extremely manual to administer without an automated system. So that's one. And then secondly is for the businesses that have, that recruit agents that want to incentivize their agents to, for example, recruit their own teams. We also have seen customers implement referral bonuses. Referral bonuses where it's not just incentivizing their team members to kind of build their own teams, but if folks, for example, refer somebody else that becomes a peer that build their own teams or build their own office, we also help them design and implement and administer this type of referral programs.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, Bernie. You'll appreciate this. So one of the projects I worked on, I mean, this dates me, but Qiyun, we had a CEO who'd come from a broker dealer and
Yeah.
wanted all of our compensation to switch to a gross dealer concession. So it wasn't first year commission and renewals. It was, first year gross dealer concession and string. Well, so Bruno is basically like a payout for a broker dealer. So I'm a big producer. I may be at an 85 points on the grid. You just started. You're at the sort of 20%, but we're in the same office. And Qiyun, we realized that the people who did the best were the ones who worked as teams. So
Right.
how do you encourage? How do I encourage Paul to sell more and reward him for success, but then encourage him to work with Bruno, who's got a lower payout? So one of the complaints we got was, well, wait a second. If I sell a case, I get 90. Say it's a make it easy. It's a $1,000 commission. I get 900. I get $900 on this. Bruno does it. He only gets 300. Well, if I sell it with him and put him on the case, well, what happened to the missing commission? So we actually had an actuary. It was just brilliant, and he sort of did the math on this and said, well, let's see. If I roll back the grid, if I actually, this is really bizarre, but it worked, and it's if we actually charge Paul and Bruno a per seat charge for being part of the system, just charge them $10,000 a year, make it up. We can actually put them on the same grid, and the math is going to be the same for the commission structure. We couldn't administer it. It was great. Now I couldn't get people to understand that. But Bruno, does that make sense to you? So it was interesting. Like it generated a curve, but the math was actually a flat out number and a simple number to math multiply beyond that.
That's the beauty of math. You can always solve for something. So
Yes.
you can always make it work and
Yeah.
apply to the situation. So no,
Yeah. How about Qiyun, how about your system? Like if we want to do some sort of team selling function like
Mhm.
that, where we've got to cover fixed costs, which is really
Right.
why you set that grid structure up. You
Right.
know, we pay. There's a desk charge for me, a commission charge. Bruno gets the same one. Can your system handle something like that?
hmm it's something that we see that comes up more and more because we tend to work with businesses that grow very quickly, and they a lot of times they have set up their business to be able to. They might start with 20 agents today, but they want to be able to grow to 500 by next year. And so this type of growth that we're helping our customers with. And when you're thinking about incentives and compensation plan, so in our system, for example, we have customers that use a very simplistic way of applying a multiplier. So in a grid, if you've got a 6 level grid and you've designed the rates to make sense for each level, but all of a sudden you have somebody that comes in who you will they ideally they sit in between the two fixed levels that you've already designed, and our system is basically one just one input, and you can apply a multiplier based on a fixed level. So for that type of design, it's a lot more straightforward. Because ultimately, as Paul and Bruno you mentioned, is that if we think about using math to be able to, and that's what most businesses are doing today, is they have somebody who is manually doing this type of math every month, every week, twice per week. And if it can be done by math, if you have a system that is flexible enough, we that's what we help our customers with, and be able to translate their business ideas and what you're doing manually to a system that is more streamlined, that can be audited, and that is more explainable to producers.
where's technology in terms of receiving data, and i- is there a way to like track dollars down from one bank account to another? Is it just manual feeds that come through a spreadsheet? I manage some like also like very simpler things from an operating perspective, and it's a nightmare. So as soon as you complicate things a little bit, I can only imagine how tedious and how heavy it becomes. where are we? Where with call it information talking to each other, or automation in processes, or data extraction, financial data extraction, in order to make all of our lives simpler.
If we're thinking about the ecosystem as a whole, it's still a very fragmented
Hmm.
industry. And unfortunately, I think that just has to do with the history of the insurance industry, and how the carriers, a lot of the carriers have been around for a while, and then how they've built their system and how these systems have evolved, as well as the amount of resource and investments that businesses are putting into digital transformation and technology. But that's kind of, I would say, the macro environment. On a more micro level, what you're saying, for the data, being able to connect systems and be able to read data better from different format, the technology is here. Like, we do have some of the latest technologies that can increase efficiency tremendously, and that's why startups and companies like us, we're applying the latest technology and racing to deliver this type of solution to the industry.
I can imagine, because I can imagine it's not the technology. Obviously, the technology is
Right.
there, but it's more the I don't know what, like, it's the extra step that says, like, okay, like, we'll extract information this way from that particular bank statement, but obviously the person, the company, or the individual having the bank statement doesn't necessarily want to share that, or whatever that official document is, like that flow of information. You know, I from what I hear from you, is it continues to be a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. And on technology front, I also think that insurance, just because of how complex the money movement is, unfortunately, even if you apply if you apply some of the latest technology, let's say Gen AI for data extraction or mapping, you still actually need a sophisticated engineering team who can understand where, when, and where to apply this technology to ensure 100% accuracy. Because for our system, where we are dealing with our customers' financial data, and then accuracy needs to be 100%. And for folks who've been doing computer science for a while, any AI machine learning systems, it's probabilistic. And so for us, it's very important that we put in guardrails. It's very important that we build a system that knows when to use AI and machine learning, and when is the best use case for more deterministic methods of getting the results to our customers that they want.
Interesting. Here's a question for you. How
Mhm.
many times do the carriers make mistakes paying commissions to agents? Do you have any metrics around that?
So it's not the carriers. Yes, we do see mistakes. The stats vary because we're a multi-line platform. The stats vary across the different lines.
So which
Um,
ones are good and which ones are?
we have that list internally. I don't know that we will share it
Okay. Okay.
publicly. And what I would say in terms of the error on the revenue side is, yes, like I do see that for some reason, because of a system errors, it might just be that certain payments are, or there's a block of a business where the payments are delayed or the payments are missing. We also have seen other errors related to, for example, contracting and licensing, where a case was submitted, but for licensing and contracting reason, the payment was not made. And then so a lot of times it's actually up to the producer and the distribution organization to figure out, to have that intelligence and to be able to take the next steps, and to be able to get the revenue. And then we also have seen cases where, for example, we are helping our customers also help clean up the data in their CRM by leveraging real-time compensation data from carriers, so that our customers are getting insights into, well, I've got 4,000 policies in my system, and that I thought are active, but only 3,500 of them are active. And so that type of ongoing reconciliation is also important. So it's not just it's a multifaceted problem, and the the system error from the carrier side, it's one problem, but there are 5 to 6 other problems that we see.
So if somebody's running a BGA small agency and they haven't purchased your system,
Mm-hmm.
they should. But if they haven't, like, what general advice would you give them? Like, Bruno's the running this agency. What are the 4 or 5 things that he should be doing to better manage his commission system? What are the questions he should be asking? What should he be doing with the information?
I would start with the core business problem first, which is that look at your current commission compensation structure. Where are you currently at? Do you have confidence in the current structure, be able to take your business to the next level? A lot of business that we're working with, if they have not been acquired, if not been consolidated, these businesses do want to grow. And then so I would start with that fundamental kind of business question of look at kind of your current line of business in the agents that you have, where you want to be 2 to 3 years from now. Is your current structure going to support your growth? And ideally, if you could wave a magic wand, what type of structure and program would you like to do to get you to the business outcome that you want? So that's the first level. And when we work with agencies that are just getting started out, we have customers that recently purchased an agency. They've been running businesses for a while, and then, so they're newer to the business. And when they come to us, that's actually would say the first question that we help them answer. And then the second question that we help them think about is from an ROI standpoint. If you personally are doing the administrative tasks, the operational tasks, and it's taking you a lot of time, if you have team members who are producers, the team members who are case managers, who are helping you go through kind of line by line and reconciling paying out commission, what is the real cost to the business? And then think about for investing in a system, the ROI, because that's also something that we help our customers optimize, is what is the best ROI that we can generate for our customers, and that also helps us design our product roadmap to align with the needs for our customer. And then the third is for the producer experience. I would also talk to the producers. If you're looking to grow the business, what are because the producers can tell you a lot. We have producers that tell their the CEOs that this is the type of reporting that I want. I want you to be able to explain to me better how the incentive works. I want you to be able to show me the grids. And if I were to go out and mentor a team, recruit my own team, I want to have access to information, what type of data information that they would want. And so that's another aspect that we also help our customers think through.
Well, this is great. And Bruno, we're kind of at the top of the time. I mean, thoughts or questions for Qiyun?
I mean, you kind of hinted towards that through the show, but for you right now, in terms of size, like what works best in terms of like targeting customers? What has worked the most? The what has been the sweet spot for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we typically work with enterprise level and some medium-sized BGAs, IMOs. We also have a few carrier customers as well. And of course, in the carrier versus the distribution market, the pain points are slightly different. And in the distribution market, and so Bruno, that's what kind of we're mostly focusing on. In the distribution market, the type of businesses we help serve, we have larger BGA and IMO customers that have 40,000, 50,000 agents. That's on one end. They have many agents and lots of complexity. We also have businesses that they have maybe 4,000 policies on their books and a dozen advisors that are using our system. So we do kind of help that a pretty wide spectrum of customers.
Yeah. Well, listen, Qiyun, thanks so much for the time. I think what you're doing is great. It's boy, these core, your problem you're working on is really central to our business. How do you design and reward people to do the right things that work for everybody? So, listen, thanks so much for joining us. I hope to have you back in another 6 months or something and hear how your business has gone. Well, I think more importantly, what are you seeing? How are you seeing agencies that are smart using compensation to build their business.
Yeah, definitely. This is a topic that we're extremely passionate about, and we're constantly talking to customers and seeing where the market is moving, and excited to be sharing what we're seeing with you guys and look forward to future conversations.
Great. All right. And then I guess where should if people want to find out more about your company, go to the website? Is it Fintary, FINTARY.com? Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our
Okay.
website, and it's .com. And we are, I believe, we're launching our new website this week, so it's perfect timing.
Good. Okay.
Very
All
good.
right. Well, excellent. All right, Bruno, thanks so much.
Thank
And
you.
want to thank our listeners. Be sure to leave us some reviews and comments on Apple. It seems to help the ratings. And be sure to join us again next week for another great episode of That Annuity Show. Thanks.
Thank you.
Nassau Financial Group is always working harder to be your carrier of choice. We build products that help protect people's savings and are dedicated to providing you with best-in-class service. We seek to keep things simple and have your back in the years to come. Nassau is headquartered in Hartford, Connecticut. Learn more at nfg.com.
Zinnia, an Eldridge Industries business, simplifies insurance. It delivers comprehensive solutions for the industry's most critical needs and creates the modern rails of the insurance industry. To learn more about Zinnia, please visit zinnia.com.
CM Risk Consulting helps insurance company clients navigate through rating agency strategies and capital optimization. At CM Risk Consulting, our mission is to empower organizations through expert consulting in capital needs and credit ratings. Our goal is to become executive management's partner and operative arm as it relates to insurance credit ratings and capital management.